Getting ready for a big week one in the SEC, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper to some of the bigger matchups this weekend. And we got to start with the early one. This is the one we'll get at 11 a.m. Central, 12 Eastern. It is Georgia and Clemson from Atlanta. Any other year, this would be an awesome matchup. The line would be like 6.5, and you'd be like, hell yeah, brother, let's lock it in, rip the knob off. But Georgia's been dominant the last 2 years. Clemson maybe been not as dominant. So Georgia's been sitting as a 2-touchdown favorite. Clint, give us a breakdown here. Are you nervous after watching Florida State lose to Georgia Tech as a double-digit favorite a week ago? Are you nervous at all for this one?
Look, there are two things that are true. Dabo Swinney is not a good coach, and that doesn't mean anything at Clemson because you can still win games there with a good defense and a good running game. This is what travels well in college football. And they got rid of the lesser running back via graduation and draft, and they actually, I think, improved in running back, and they have a talented offensive line, a couple of unknown wide receivers, and a defense that returns a lot of very, very high caliber, high ceiling players. So yes, nervous is the case because all of a sudden you look at Georgia and two running backs, one being Cash Jones might lead this team in rushing attempts this game. And that's not a joke. And I'm not being facetious and I'm not like that might be real. If that's the case, holy geez, yeah, Carson Beck on your shoulders right away. You said you want to go to New York, go out and prove it. All of a sudden things get a little sideways and get really weird with a good, very, very talented defense and a good running game that can propel. So, of course, every single game, any other season, 6.5, something like that is true. This is point spread I'm not touching because I don't like it to begin the season. We saw what happened last time Clemson and Georgia played. It was a very, very close affair. Went to turnovers and DJ Uiagalelei not knowing how to throw the football, which continued even into this year. But, yeah, of course, I'm looking out for this game, and I'm not taking Clemson lightly at all.
Moscona, are we getting too much Georgia fatigue? Because it's like every poll has been Georgia number one, Georgia's the pick, Georgia. Like, are we overrating this Georgia team a little too much?
No, they deserve it until proven otherwise. I mean, they now see if they can maintain it for as long as Alabama did, but they're at the Alabama standard where it's just default, put them in there until someone beats them. I mean, do any of us believe that if Georgia had gotten in the playoff last year, that they wouldn't have won it? I mean, I do. I think they would have won it. So, no, it's fatigue is the conversation you have about Notre Dame. Fatigue is the conversation about a program that's not really a contender that everyone tried. Miami. I'm so sick of hearing about Mario Cristobal in Miami. Like, he stinks. I watched him win one game at FIU. Like, that's what I'm sick of. Like, do something, and then I'll talk about you. But Georgia deserves to be talked about. Like, they beat everyone, and they're the standard. So if you want to win, you got to beat them.
Marler, I know you hate both these teams. So your thoughts?
Well, I'm still trying to move past you saying rip the knob off. I'm scared to Google what that means later. I will say I think there's still time for this line to come down because Georgia could lose at least 2 to 4 or 5 more players before the weekend if they're still behind the wheel of a car. So we never know. I think that Clemson is going to be good defensively. I think they're going to be very, very average offensively. And like, I think that Georgia goes into this place, which has been a house of horrors for them when they play one specific team, but it hasn't been otherwise. And they are going to have a massive chip on their shoulder and honestly do what Florida State, I think we all thought they were going to do a week ago, but probably worse to this Clemson team because like nobody motivates their team better or more than Kirby Smart. And they know that in that building 8-9 months ago, they were 3 points away from having a three-peat. And they are going to come in there, I think, and beat the brakes off Clemson.